The best movie of the year opens in limited release this weekend, and it will be expanding over the course of the next few weeks. That movie is Ava Victor's directorial debut, Sorry Baby. I saw this originally at Sundance. Sundance was kind of sleepy in terms of reactions, and then this movie debuted, and Twitter was a buzz. It was a buzz, and I quickly bought a ticket to a virtual screener before it sold out because I was like, I gotta see what all this is about. And the hype, it did not lie. In fact, this movie exceeded my expectations. I then got to see it again at Chicago Critics Festival, and I was wrecked even further than I had been originally. I was shocked that I was even more emotional because I had seen it already, but this movie is just the real deal. I also had the immense privilege of interviewing Ava Victor and getting to talk to them a little bit about the structure of the movie and the relationships in the movie, and that was such a real treat. I could talk to them for hours about this movie. It's such a triumph. So let's get into it. No spoilers. Sorry Baby is about a professor named Agnes who is trying to reckon with and move forward from a violent incident that occurred during her time in grad school. The aftermath of this incident has seeped into every corner of her life, but the world around her continues to move forward. The film is told non-linearly, almost in like these little vignettes. The year with the bad thing, the year with the baby, the year with this, and we're kind of jumping around. Writer, director, and star Ava Victor, quiet storm both in front of and behind the camera. I think they have crafted this measured heartache of a film that manages to also be disarmingly funny and beautiful despite the weight of the material we are dealing with. You know, we are dealing with something very dark and serious and upsetting, yet there's a lot of levity to be found. I found myself laughing out loud. The theater I was in the second time I saw it, rapturous laughter at moments. It genuinely is so funny as well. I think their writing is brilliant. The decision to make this movie non-linear really allows the pain to permeate the film in a quietly impactful way. I don't think it's heavy-handed by any means, but it is everywhere. You can feel it all over this movie, even when we don't quite know what the bad thing is yet. You know, the most regular day-to-day things for Agnes are completely altered. The creaks in her house are frightening. A knock at the door is alarming, and her uncovered window feels extra exposing, you know? And as we like jump around, we can kind of see that, you know, we see how it's been altered, or we see how we got to this point. And I think because of that structure, because of the screenplay, while Agnes's insular world has completely screeched to a halt, she cannot simply get over this thing. The rest of the world can't freeze like her. The rest of the world is moving right along. There are still milestones to be had. There are still people to see, moves to make, joy to be found. In the context of these bigger moments, we can see how stuck she is by this traumatic event and just like desperate to move even the tiniest bit forward. Even when it feels like she's moving forward, Agnes can't fully enjoy these things. Ava Victor breaks up this measured and controlled screenplay with some sharp dialogue. Again, it will make you laugh, and then you'll immediately wonder if you should be laughing at all. I think a lot of times with like a darker sense of humor, when you're infusing it with heavier subject matter, it kind of disrupts the severity of the material. It undermines it, but the humor in Sorry Baby is never dismissive of the weight of the story. Rather, it ties into that idea of the world, you know, not being one thing. Life is never just one thing, and the levity interrupts the struggle, especially when we least expect it. I think Victor allows comedy and pain to walk hand in hand and complement each other. It can be jarring, uncomfortable, but it's also authentic and beautiful. The direction is stunning. The camera often lingers at a distance and kind of almost like waits to be invited in to witness these moments more closely. Ava Victor is very intentional about when they choose to extend that invitation. The incident itself is never shown, but Agnes's retelling of the events is shot up close and personal. Before Agnes recalls the details of the incident, the camera idles sort of in the hallway, and when we finally enter, the camera stays solely on Agnes's face. In doing so, I think Ava Victor really prioritizes Agnes rather than sensationalizing the event itself. Ava Victor holds Agnes in tender hands and carefully tells the story on Agnes's terms. You know, it's never about like making this sensationalized exploitive thing. It's always on Agnes's terms. And I really appreciated as well that there's never any actual violence shown on screen. Yes, this incident that happened to Agnes is horrible and your worst nightmare, but we never see it. We can feel it effectively and we get it, but it's never on screen. And as if they weren't firing on all cylinders behind the camera, Ava Victor is also giving a performance for the ages. It's laden with raw honesty and vulnerability, and they never reduce Agnes to a shell of her trauma. There's still a lot of light behind Agnes's eyes, fighting to break through this exterior in the wake of this bad thing. I think there are many moments where Victor has us believing that Agnes has fully moved forward. We're like, wow, Agnes did it. But then in the moments we're alone with Agnes, the moments of quiet, Victor fully sheds any and all armor and really allows us to fully witness Agnes. Fortunately, Agnes doesn't have to deal with this alone. Her constant support comes from her best friend Liddy, who is played by Naomi Ackie. Naomi Ackie is having quite a year. I love her. I think she's one of the best parts of Mickey 17, and this film is no different. She is truly triumphant. I think she has the kindest eyes in showbiz. She wraps Agnes and us, the audience, in a gaze and gives all parties this energy to continue on the difficult path. I felt so cradled and safe with her, even though like she wasn't looking at me. I think she just really infuses the film with a beautiful warmth that radiates powerfully, but it is quietly done and expertly done. And I just think it's so beautiful to see someone so unconditionally supportive. Ackie and Victor play off of each other beautifully. Their dynamic feels like years old as they spit invasive witticisms at each other. They bask in each other's milestones, and they even coexist in heavy silence. There's a trust that palpitates between these two performers, and each allows the other to fully commit to where they need to go while firmly supporting the track, you know? Another piece of this dynamic that I loved is that I was almost expecting like this traditional like Hollywood fallout, but neither faults the other for where they are at. You know, Liddy is kind of barreling forward with life and love, while Agnes is kind of stuck where she's stuck, but each character meets the other where they're at. Lucas Hedges continues his return to the screen with an equally warm performance. He doesn't have a lot to do in the movie, but I appreciated how he crafted his character Gavin to be a stark contrast to some other men in this movie. You know, Gavin is a man who seeks nothing and expects nothing from Agnes and merely enjoys Agnes's companionship. Don't want to spoil anything in this video, so I'm gonna like wrap it up because there's so many things I could talk about, but it would get into spoiler territory. I will say it feels like a rarity for a film to match major festival hype, let alone exceed it, but Sorry Baby repeatedly has knocked the wind out of me. I think it's equally harrowing and soothing, and it presents one of the most realistic depictions of navigating trauma I can recall in recent memory. Agnes at one point in the film says, "I am sorry, bad things are going to happen to you. I hope they don't." This film plainly and boldly presents the idea that it's almost naive to shield anyone from evil because it's unfortunately inevitable. Like, we could put someone in like a plastic bubble and try and shield them, but things are going to happen to them. However, even though we can't stop bad from happening, it also doesn't stop the good. We can't stop the world from turning as much as we would like to. I think, you know, when something bad and traumatic happens, rightfully so, we have to like sit with it and process it and make sense of it and try to make peace with it. And unfortunately, the world's going to keep turning. All we can do is try to turn with it. And sometimes it's going to turn a bit ahead of us and we're going to have to feel like we have some catching up to do, but it's okay. You know, sometimes trying is just waking up the next day. We don't have to be keeping and maintaining pace with the way the world is turning. Sometimes our best is just waking up and taking a couple steps, you know? I appreciate how this movie sits in the discomfort of healing while also spotlighting quiet resilience we need to push forward. I think it's so deeply personal and profound and just like lovely. I am like choked up talking about it and thinking about it. I cannot wait to see it again. It's absolutely the best movie of the year. I gave it 5 stars. I will continue to sing its praises. It's opening in limited release this weekend. It's going to slowly expand week by week. I highly recommend keeping an eye out for when it expands to your city because you will not want to miss this. Ava Victor, you beautiful, beautiful human. Like, I cannot say enough. Like, what a pleasure and a joy it is to watch your artistry and to like bask in that. God, I go see this movie. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you do all the things you're supposed to do with a YouTube channel. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share, follow me everywhere, and I will see you on the next one. Bye.